that was going up to that point. I was like within 6 months of that point, I started getting really nervous. I'm like, this change is amazing, and I'm so proud of you. But this is gonna be like a whole new woman. Like this is gonna be a massive change. And I was super nervous, probably really insecure about the whole thing, and it ultimately turned out to be an amazing thing. But change is scary. Change can be very, very scary. And if you are not in the right mindset, it can really throw you down a rabbit hole, and depression, big time, anxiety.
Yeah.
That stuff kind of started to flare up more and more and more, and I just didn't realize it. But now that my mindset is where it's at, the change isn't that hard. All right, guys, welcome. Thank you. We changed the recording time tonight. It's not early morning, so maybe we'll have a little bit extra energy here with Ben. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? How's it going, man?
Well, that was not as good of an intro as yours, but it's going
No,
pretty
man,
good.
it's freaking great, dude. That was good. I think you're gonna start doing them now. You got the energy, yeah. But it's a different setting. Well, not a different setting, but a different time of the day. So yeah, maybe
A little bit different time, and we're going to do something a little bit different today.
yeah, we're switching it up.
This could be kind of interesting.
It is going to be because tell them what you propose, what we're going to be doing today. Like you said, it's a little different, so let them know.
So what we're going to do is I hit up Ben and I was like, hey, let's pick a topic, but not tell the other one what it is. So he has no idea what I'm going to ask him. I have no idea what he's going to ask me, but we want to know how that person deals with it, or they live it, whatever the topic might be, and just get a real raw reaction of what they think about it. We still have no idea. We caught up with the week, because he was out last week, but we still released an episode for you. So we haven't seen each other, so we caught up a little bit, but he still has no idea what I'm about to ask him, and I have no clue what he's going to ask me.
I'm low key kind of anxious, even though I'm used to just kind of you never know what you're going to talk to somebody about when you meet them. So
yeah, I'm going to keep it easy for you this time.
Oh dang! So I'm gonna race mine. No, I'm just joking. I even took notes. And I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start doing this, especially sometimes you'll say something that I like, and I do it for other speakers. So I was like, he's a speaker. I'm gonna start taking notes or thoughts that I come up with it maybe while you're talking. I don't interrupt you, and I just hit it later. So
all right, you ready for this?
Let's do it, man.
Okay, so just so you guys know, my anniversary was last Sunday. 12 years married to my amazing woman, so it got me thinking a lot. And I know this is something important to you, so I wanted to hear your thoughts, why, and how you guys go about it. What are your thoughts on dating your wife?
Oh, I hate it. No.
Told you it wasn't a very hard one, but
no, I'm joking.
But it's a very important one, I feel like. So that's why I wanted to ask you.
No, that's very important. I think that's a great question. So, what do I feel about dating my wife? Well, I think it's important to have that dating aspect, even when you're married. Doesn't matter. Like you say, you guys just completed 12 years?
12 years of marriage.
Congratulations on that. That's
thank you. I don't
phenomenal.
know how she's put up with me.
Yeah, sometimes we don't. Not saying yeah to you, but I understand like the feeling of sometimes we don't understand how our wives can stick around sometimes for so long. Sometimes we have a little. I feel like I have a little pea brain, so I'm like, I don't know how she puts up. I'm a jerk sometimes, and I'm annoying, and I'm a goofball, so I'm like, I don't know, man. I look at myself, I'm like, sometimes the shit that I say, I don't know if I don't want to be around that sometimes. But no, I think it's very important. I think it's important to keep. I don't want to say, like, you do want to keep it new.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, that dating, that fire needs to be in your relationship. I mean, for a long time. And so, I think it gets lost sometimes, and it comes with complacency. Well, like in your case, I've been with my wife for 12 years. She knows that I love her. We have a house together. We have kids together. Well, unfortunately, those things sometimes don't speak the same. We don't speak the same language that our wives do, and vice versa. So I feel like it's important for as a man that you keep that dating aspect because, excuse me, that you can show them that you're still in love with them, that they still matter a lot to you, even 12 years into a relationship or into a marriage. You have to continue to show them that. And I think by dating them, you not only show them that, but then you also remember like, wow, like there's still so much more to explore with my wife or vice versa with my husband that you get to know when you're dating. Because when you treat it like, oh, like we're just dating, like, and we all remember, right? When you first start dating somebody, it's those like butterflies, you know, you text them all day, every day.
I mean, I still do that, but
because you're dating your wife, right? You call them all the time and you can sit on the phone. At least when I was dating, you sit on the phone to like 2, 3 a.m. and you're chatting and it's like the honeymoon phase, right? It just feels fun and energetic. You don't have stress of like life. And the fact that as a man and as a relationship, you guys can take that back, and even amongst having the kids, having the family life, and still have that spark of like, we're gonna date each other. I still have so much to learn from you and to get to know you, because you can always find something new. And things change, right? I mean, your wife isn't the same person that maybe she has characteristics in the personality and some of the foundation of who she used to be, but she's changed a lot. And so have you. And so what's better than, being together for 12 years, you're growing together, and now you're like dating almost a new person, because the things that maybe you would have talked about 12 years ago aren't in today's conversations, but you're learning something new about your wife. I think it's super important.
So follow-up question, how often do you and your wife date? I know with a divorced parent, obviously there's more opportunity, I think, because there's times that you don't have your kid, which is not your choice, state court ordered.
Definitely.
But, that you don't have your kids. So you might have a couple of weekends that are 1 or 2 weekends that are more opened up every single month, which I think it's 1, if I remember right, with what you guys got, maybe 2.
2, yeah.
But so you have a little bit more availability to date your wife. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every Friday or Friday and Saturday night that you don't have your kid, that you're dating your wife. But how often do you guys try to plan a date?
I think especially the beginning of this year, we've made it a point to really focus on our relationship, right? I think an intimacy can be, it's not just, from a sexual standpoint, intimacy could be just connecting with your partner, right? And so for us, we try to do it at least every other week. And that's whether, it's usually when we don't have Gamry. And that's just because that's just the way it works out. But it doesn't always work out that way, right?
Yeah.
But at the very least, we try to do at least once a month. Once a month where we can, have that dating aspect, because I think the goal is to do it every week, right? Every weekend. I mean, that's optimal. That's what you would want to do.
Yeah.
But even if you're starting with once a month or twice a month,
you're putting effort in.
You're putting the effort in. And also, we don't just go to dinners and movies and stuff like that. A date to us can be, for instance, we've had dates where we just come home. The kids. It's been a weekend where we have Gamry, and we're like, we'd love to have the night tonight. We are busy. It's not like you said, we might not have her this weekend, but we have other commitments that we've made, regardless to for ourselves, for our business, or for, other with our friends, whatever it might be. And so we still want to prioritize those other things, but we also still try to prioritize, the time for us. And so, one of the books that I first read that kind of got us going into this was the 5 Love Languages. My wife's.
I still need to read that.
Yeah, you and your wife read it together. It's amazing. My wife's quality time. That's her love language. She likes to spend time together. And acts of service are her 2. You generally have 2. You can fall into 3, but usually they have 1 or 2. And so quality time is important. So to her, we've literally had a night where we're just like, we have the schedules booked out. I'd love to do a Saturday night. Let's take Camry to, grandma's for the night. We'll have her for up to this amount of time, and then she'll spend the night at grandma's. So it's not like we left her all day. We just had a couple hours to ourselves, and instead of going to dinner or going to, we came home and we had we had pizza, like I think it was like 313 or something like that. We had wine. We turned off all the TVs. We put candles. We were sitting on our living room. We put out a blanket, and it was like just us.
An indoor picnic.
Yeah, it was intimate, right? It was us kind of just being with each other, and it doesn't necessarily need to be, like I said, all these extravagant things going out. Those things do help, but you can get creative. You don't have to. Sometimes people are like, oh, I don't have the time, and it takes an hour. Spend some time with your significant other, and make it a fun time. It doesn't need to be this crazy thing. And if the kids are, there, we've even done that. Cameron goes to bed, and we just hang out and have some time together. That's still important to have that relationship. So yeah, that's kind of what we.
No, that's good. I like to hear that. I mean, I knew a lot of that going into this, and because we talk quite a bit, and I know you. And I know what you guys, we like I said, we talk. I know what you guys do as far as the dating, and you do prioritize it, and that's good, and it shows because you guys have a really good connection, and you can tell it's not surface. You're pretty in depth about everything, and you guys are trying new things together too, which that's always nice.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? I mean, we're by no means perfect. I still mess up. There's some months where we don't get it in the way that we want it to, and then it rolls into the next. But it's kind of the same thing with anything else, right? That, and that's where, like we've talked about last week, having good communication and boundaries where you can come in and say, okay, like last month wasn't the greatest. We need to pick it back up. Yep. And we have those conversations, maybe not as often as we need to, but definitely when it comes to a point, we got to have that friction, that conversation to say, okay, let's reset and let's pick this up again. So
that's kind of one of those times where you're like, look, I planned a date. It's Friday night. Get your ass ready. We're going out. And you go out and you have a good time and start that reset over.
Yeah, I think, that's exactly true. And dating your wife, like, it just makes it fun.
It does.
It makes it so that you guys, like, dating is fun. Like, being married is fun. Like, you can make it fun. So many people are like, I remember when I first was, you hear some friends when I was younger, like, oh, you're getting married and you're locked.
Old ball and chain.
Yeah. So, like, my wife's awesome. Like, I don't ever feel locked in, but, like, I love spending time with her. Like, the plunge that that was her idea. Like, it wasn't like, she was like, oh, I want to do it. And usually it was me, I want to do the cold plunges. And she's like, no, I already looked it up. We're going to do this. I'm like, what in the?
Those are fantastic.
And I'm just like, God, I love you right now. Like, this is crazy. Like, it's Taylor. She's always cold and she wants to do a cold plunge. And she's, probably the $110 wet, so I'm like, you're going to be freezing in this thing. But I just,
she was a boss from what I heard. She
killed it. And so, yeah, it's just fun. It's fun and it's just exciting. I don't even know how to explain it. Think of dating, but you're dating a person that you absolutely love. Like, I dated around a lot, but I'm just like, imagine taking all that fun dating stuff and then introducing it into your marriage. It's just like, it's amazing. Like,
I knew this was going to be a good one for you.
It is. I love it. Oh, I love her, man. Like, but it comes from a place that I didn't know what to do. It's not like I was this person. Like, to me, I can come home and just sit on the couch and, but it came with failure of, one failed marriage to begin with in the first, which doesn't necessarily mean that was all the only issue, but that would definitely, I'm sure, apply to it. And then starting our relationship, there was a moment of complacency on my end where, like, oh, well, I don't really need to try. We kind of love each other, but as you kind of get, and it's weird because when you start kind of growing yourself physically, mentally, whatever, everything starts changing.
It really
you become
does.
more aware. And then if it's not, if it's not like your health, then it bleeds into your marriage. And like, hold up, I can do better in my marriage. I can be a better husband. I can be a better father. And so, yeah, it's just, it's an amazing feeling to have that with your wife. What, back to you though, like
So
how do you feel about that?
okay, hold on. First off,
Okay.
let me say this because I've been wanting to say it. I heard this and I wish I remember who said it. Part of the reason that I try to continue to date my wife, same reason, because I love her and everything. But at the end of the day, when my kids move out, who's gonna be there? When my girls are no longer living at my house, who's gonna be there?
Yeah.
If I let that relationship deteriorate so much, I'm going to have nobody when my kids leave. So yes, my kids are overly important to me, but my marriage and my dating and the connection with my wife, I want to say it's almost more important because at the end of the day, when my kids are gone doing their thing, that's what I have left is her. That's the relationship I have left.
That exact verbiage is what I've told Taylor.
Yeah, I've heard it somewhere, and I freaking wish I could.
I agree that we have a multitude, and you can ask her. Like, there's other things that are happening. Obviously, my daughter's involved in it, and my ex-wife, and all that type of stuff. But I've always told her, like, I love my daughter to the ends of the earth. But ultimately, there will be one day when she finds somebody and she's going to go live her own life.
Yep.
And guess who's here? Me and you. So, whenever you mold two families together with, Taylor and my baggage that I had, it's kind of a weird dynamic to begin with. You got to kind of figure things out. You got to fit pieces where they can. And so a lot of the times in that, a bonus mom or a stepmom can feel kind of left out of the picture because I have a certain bond with my daughter, right? And so I never wanted to ever make Taylor feel like she's not part of that family. So I've always told, like, yeah, I love Gamry, but I've always understood, like, Gamry's not here forever. She'll find a husband or whatever. She'll go. I got to live with you for the rest of my life. And so if I'm not cool with you, if we're not on the same team, we're not on the same side. And I use that like as if Gamry disagrees with something, I'm not going to take Gamry's side. I'm taking my wife's side. Even if I think that maybe it doesn't make sense, we'll talk about that after. But I'm never going to not in front of her. Not in front of her. And I've always told that because I'm like, I have to live with you. You're my partner just as much as I'm yours. And she's going to leave. She'll move out. We'll have a house to ourselves. Like, I got to be good with you. I got to love you. Because what you end up hearing is people, invest so much in their kids and everything's about their kids. And don't get me wrong, it is very important. And there is a role to play. And they've always said that there are certain ages where you need to teach your kids certain things. And I agree, right? I've fucked up a lot when I was younger. I was partying and I wasn't really there for my kid, and some of the decisions that I made, I wish I could take back. But, now I know that I'm paying good enough attention to her, but I also need to pay attention to my wife. And so I blend those two things and I balance them very, very well. But at the end of the day, like, I'm with my wife. Like, if what I'm trying to say is that you'll hear stories where people will take care of these kids and then they'll go off. And then they get divorced.
Yep.
Or they don't love each other anymore because they don't really know. All they were doing was caring for some kids. And you never were a team, or, the father's out working and the mother's at home, and, you float in all the other societal issues. And by the time the kid's 18 and they leave, they're like, man, what do we do now?
Yep.
Our whole life was around the kids. Like,
yeah, they don't know how to date each other because they stopped.
Exactly.
They stopped.
Exactly.
They stopped caring for each other. They stopped. They might love each other.
Oh, yeah. There's still love, but yeah, they don't know how to.
They stopped.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped.
Yep.
But to answer your question, I think it's very important. which is part of the reason I brought it up. We try to do it as often as we can with having our kids all the time because we're together and they're both our kids. We and being very picky about who watches them. We don't get as many opportunities. And my mother-in-law and your mother-in-law are absolutely freaking fantastic, and 9 times out of 10 they have zero problems taking them. And life got really crazy for a minute where it was event after event after event, and we did kind of step back a little because we're like, we need to step back. We've got too much stuff going on. Kids are being watched too much, which it was mainly dating stuff too. We were going out together, doing things, this, that. But ultimately it's we end up doing a lot of that where we'll just chill. Like, even if it's 5-10 minutes just to like there was one night I was like, we got up and we danced.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes, and it was a good time. Like, it was just enjoyable. Or, we'll play a game or puzzle or something like that where it's more at-home dates because we have the kids. A lot of times we'll put them to bed, and especially like Fridays, Saturdays where my energy isn't so drained from everything else in my life, which I'm still working on balancing that out to have more energy at night. I sound better because I don't have the tubes in my nose.
Right.
That's great. But, trying to find that little bit of balance so I can give her time at night, even if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes before we go to bed, just to get some face-to-face time with her is super important. I would guess quality time is one of my love languages too, just knowing who I am and how I am, because the more time I can spend with her, the better and the happier I am. Like, we did a little family date today. Like, we went to the zoo. Freaking awesome today. The kids were awesome. There was like nobody at the zoo. That made it even better. Not worried about the kids getting lost in the chaos of everybody. The weather was a little chilly, but I think that kept people away too. We're like, hell, this is awesome. The girls did fantastic. They didn't complain. They listened. I was like, damn, this is... And then we're like, well, we're going to go get some lunch. My body regrets the choice on lunch, but that's a whole different ballgame. But, it was still like a date with my wife. We did have our kids, but ultimately, yeah, it's super important. I love when I get time. Like, when our cat was missing, which I'm glad she's back, my mother-in-law took the kids on like a Thursday night. She's like, I'll take them. I just had surgery that Monday. But she's like, I'll take them so you guys can go walk around later and earlier in the morning if you need to. We're like, okay. We're like, the kids are like, oh, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're not doing anything super fun, but we did kind of make a little date out of it. My wife was feeling down, so we stopped and got some cheesecake, got some dinner, ate dinner, hung out, went and wandered around a little bit at night. But ultimately, I still consider it a date because I had time to just spend with her. Yeah, we were looking for a cat. We were doing this, doing that, but we still did some aspects. We got some dinner, got some cheesecake, just kind of chilled, hung out, really didn't do a whole lot. So, and it was nice. Those things are super important to me.
Yeah, it's fair to say that you can fit it in wherever you need to.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to make this grandiose event of like, we're going to go to this fancy restaurant downtown and do all this stuff. It can be fun little things. Like, and it doesn't need to be an all day event. You can, like you said, even if it's an hour, 2 hours to go look for a cat and then go to dinner and a quick dessert or something like that, whatever it might be. Like,
yeah. And some of it, at least with my wife, and I'm sure it's the same with yours, some of it's just simply the thought you put into something. It doesn't have to do with how much it was. It's kind of like, like I said, my anniversary. Like, we kind of haphazardly planned it. We're just like, I was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, you said this hot pot place was really good. Do you want to go there? She's like, yeah, we can go there. I'm like, all right. Which that was fun,
Right.
A whole bunch of different food, try something new. And then we were trying to decide what to do. And we were originally going to go up to Tibble Fork and do a cold plunge in the lake. But got looking at the weather, got thinking, I'm like, that water is probably going to be like in the 30s or so. Like, if it's not frozen over, it's going to be pretty damn cold. So I was like, well, I've always been kind of curious of a float tank. You want to go try that? She's like, okay. Like, but just a random date. Like,
Right.
didn't put a whole lot of effort. We didn't spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to celebrate, but it's a new way for us to celebrate. We tried something new. We got to enjoy some time. We got to, I don't know if you've ever done one of those. It's an interesting experience.
The floats?
Yeah, the
No,
floats
I've wanted to, but I've never.
They're interesting. Be prepared to be naked. I will just straight up.
It's all good.
I mean, we did it together.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. We showered 4 fucking times in one day. That
Yeah.
was a lot for one day. Like, because we spray tan, so we rinsed off, then we showered after the gym, shower before the flow, shower. We're like, holy
That's
fuck,
hilarious.
4 times. Jesus.
You guys are clean.
We were very clean that day. But I was talking to one of our other friends about it, and to me it was an experience, because I felt like I was floating in space. But to have her, knowing she was right there, and at any point I could reach over and touch her, and like we held hands half the time, and like I don't even know, half-ass, like cuddled together, like just held each other while we were just laying there, just enjoying the music and the darkness and the thoughts in our head. And
That's cool.
it was an interesting experience overall. So it was a new way to date my wife, something completely different.
I love that. That's super cool.
It's very important.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, that it is very important. I agree. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
I knew it was going to be good for you. I knew I'd get a lot of energy and passion out of you
Yeah,
on that
man.
one.
You can't talk to me about my wife and not get me fired up.
I knew that was going to be a good one for this
No,
first go round.
And my mentor always tells me, at the very minimum, what he does is a quarterly marriage trip. Every quarter, you work quarters, essentially within a 3-month period. He takes his wife to a mini vacation. Now, granted, they're a lot more wealthy than I am, so I can't go on a quarterly vacation. But if you just incorporate the foundation of it, just take them. If you can only do, if you have a busy life and you want to do something, kind of big, whether it be a dinner and a movie or dinner and a dance or whatever it might be, do it every quarter. But yeah, even if you do it, once a month, and you start by just, hey, let's, for us, it's taking a walk.
Yeah.
We love walking together. That's where we get half our talks in, half our updates. It's just an enjoyable time. And
well, your mind just starts thinking.
yeah,
That's another thing. Between the exercise and the thoughts that start rolling, holy shit, man. Get out there and walk with your spouse. God, you'll either both feel amazing and had so many thoughts in your head, but you guys just were focused.
Mm-hmm.
So you both feel better because your thoughts are going out, your energy's going out, or you guys will just sit there and talk and talk. And it's just, the conversations are so all over the place, but so amazing.
All over the place. You vent to each other. You talk about your goals. You talk about, everything. And then, I always still tell you, like, I can't do the bed thing. Like, I can't lay in bed and talk. Like, I'm out. Like, as soon as I hit the bed, I'm like, my eyes are starting to close. And but she always wanted to have that. So I'm like, we can do it. We just got to figure somewhere else. Because as soon as I am in bed, like, I can try, but I can't. I don't want to be the person that you're talking to. And then all of a sudden I'm.
If you've ever looked at my wife's Snapchat, it's mostly me sleeping
somewhere. That's funny. So, no, yeah, I think that's a very important thing. Date your wife. Date your husband as much as possible. Like, you will find out the craziest things, and then you never know. You will definitely find something out new about them, even if it's a tiny little quirk or little thing that when they were young or whatever. And that is fun.
Certain events, certain things, certain times, certain words and stuff might trigger a thought, like you said, that'll bring them back to childhood or this or we were sitting there eating pizza today, and she's like, oh, the last time we had this, we did shrooms. It's like, oh, really? She's like, yeah. And then the pizza came out, and I'm sitting there staring at it, and I'm like, fuck, I remember this now.
And it all started coming back.
Like, I remember this now. That was a fun night. It's like, and then we cooked steak when we got done. Just sitting there. And I mean, that's just one instant. And that was only like 2 years ago that memory popped up. But you never know what you're going to do if you don't put the effort in.
I love that, man. That's so true.
All
That's a
right.
good question, man. I like that.
All right. What do you got?
Oh, dang, man. I had a multitude of questions, but the main topic of it was change, how you manage change. And the reason I say this, the reason it came up to my mind was because you've been through, I would say, a large transformational, like physical change and mindset change. At least, I mean, it's probably been a year now since the Limitless is going on this weekend.
Yeah, tomorrow.
And I don't remember what month it was, but I'm assuming it was somewhere around this time. And then the reason I say that is because your wife also had a huge transformation. And I can only imagine the change that you had to go through, not only seeing her change, but you having to also change. Not having to, but wanting to. And I just want to know how you manage that. How did you approach that? Because I feel like a lot of people talk about fearing change. They're scared to change. They're stressed about change. People say, nobody likes change. Let's just be honest.
No.
So I'm just curious of like how you manage that.
I'm not going to go deep into her story because I want her to tell it.
Of course.
When she started, I'll be honest, I doubted it. Her track record, like they talk about track records, everything. Her track record wasn't great. So I'm like, once I see the effort and the work, I might have to. And it was around December when I was like, yeah, I got to kind of do something here. Like it was January. It was after the 2 major holidays. She made it through Thanksgiving, made it through Christmas. 2 big family holidays for our family, as you know.
Yeah.
Massive ones for
Right.
us. And I was like, wow, she made it through those. This is a big deal. This is serious. So, January rolls around. I'm like, I gotta start changing. And she never once said, you need to do this. It was my choice, but I knew going into it that I wasn't going to change if it wasn't my choice. So handling that change was super easy for me. It was okay. Once I stepped foot into the gym, it was almost game on, let's go. And that change was pretty easy. The anxiety and stuff getting started was rough, but once it was going, that change was super easy. As far as change overall, man, it's rough. I don't deal with it very well, to be honest with you. I'm getting a lot better at it. And when we have my wife on, everybody else, you already know, but everybody else will understand. I'm basically married to a whole new woman. Like it was 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago. I think April 12th was when her whole life ultimately really flipped.
Right.
And again, I'll let her get into all of that, but that was going up to that point. I was like, within 6 months of that point, I started getting really nervous. I'm like, this change is amazing, and I'm so proud of you, but this is gonna be like a whole new woman. Like this is gonna be a massive change, and I was super nervous, probably really insecure about the whole thing, and it ultimately turned out to be an amazing thing. But change is scary. Change can be very, very scary, and if you are not in the right mindset, it can really throw you down a rabbit hole, and depression, big time, anxiety.
Yeah.
That stuff kind of started to flare up more and more and more, and I just didn't realize it. But now that my mindset is where it's at, the change isn't that hard for the most part. Obviously, there's, if I were to leave here, go home, and she said, we're done, get the hell out, that would be a change that would be extremely hard. But if I went home and she said, hey, I changed my mind, we're starting 75 hard tomorrow, cool, let's go. For the most part, let's go. The change doesn't scare me. I'm ready for it. I'm excited for it. And that most of that change is uncomfortable. And I've learned so much that uncomfortableness is where growth comes. So the short answer is change is very hard, but can be very, very rewarding. And I don't handle it very well.
I think you handle. I mean, from the outside looking in, right? And you do a good job of balancing it, right? I think it's I think it's a huge change. I mean,
Well,
you had to change. You had to.
Yeah.
Your wife changed, but you had to change. You had to make the choice because you're not the same person you were.
No.
I mean, I can go back as far as a year and a half to 2 years. I mean, it's been longer than that, but you're not the same person.
No.
Physically, mentally. So how did you balance, because I feel like stability is nice, being stable, like I'm good where I'm at. Feels comfortable. How did you balance that stability of that and still wanting to actually pursue something because you wanted to pursue a better body or a better mindset, but how did you balance that because it could pull you both ways. You want to be comfortable, but you also have bigger dreams for yourself.
So that's a hard one because
That's
I don't balance things very well. I'm generally way far one way or the other. I think ultimately the balance came from my wife.
Okay.
Because she allowed me the time and the space and the tools to do what I needed to do to make that change. I'm going to shout out some people here signing up for the First Form app.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Frisella's apps. Her saying, okay, let's take the monthly hit. If you're going to stick to it, I will happily pay for it. And in my opinion, it's paid off for me. It's given me guidance, giving me tools, giving me what I need to succeed. And if anybody knows who First Form and all those guys are, they know how to succeed. So her allowing me that space and that money aspect of every single month, okay, now we got to get more protein items in. We got to get this in. We got to get that in. Her allowing me that made the balance super easy, made the change super easy because she gave me the tools, helped me have the tools to balance that all out, if that all makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Because I'm terrible at balance. I'm terrible. I'm either downing a gallon a day of water and eating everything right, or I'm drinking 2 ounces of water and eating complete shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, I can get 80 ounces and eat pretty healthy. I mean, I'm getting a lot better at that balance, and I'm really pulling round 2 of 75 to hopefully create a harder habit.
Right.
That I felt lost, like we talked about. I felt lost as hell when I was down to 75. But I'd lost all the balance because my balance was, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do. And once I lost that, I lost a lot of that balance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that those are some of the keys that I'm going for this second round is work on my balance in life, which there's none, but I'm also working on the spiritual side of my life too.
Right.
At the same time, different things to help me be able to balance my thoughts versus my actions.
No, I love that, man. That's you'll get it. And it's a life. It's like a life thing. You'll definitely pick up some tools and some reflections during your 75 hard programs, however many you end up doing. But yeah, you'll figure it out.
Well,
for sure.
And
life a lot of time life isn't unfortunately just it's not that's just my aspect, and people may disagree, but I don't feel like you can truly be balanced in everything.
No, I mean,
I just feel that way. I haven't found a way to do it. Maybe it comes with time and experience and some sort of freedom and wealth, and maybe you can find it somehow. But for me, where the place that I'm in, I'm the same way like you. I feel like I need to go all in or no in, because all in drives success for me.
Yeah.
Half-ass in it, I'm out.
I mean, again, you talk to, I'll use Goggins because he's right behind you. There's no way that he could have done what the hell he did if he was pussyfooting it half in. There's no way. Absolutely not. Ed Milet could not have done it if he didn't put the effort in one more day.
Right.
Andy Frisella couldn't have done it if he had a no option, zero compromise mentality. I mean, all these guys, anybody that's successful that will really sit down and talk to you, and they can't do it if they're just dipping their toe in the water. I mean, it's a cold plunge, for example.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it if you don't just do it.
Well, what do they say? How do you jump? How do you get into a pool? Do you dip your toe or do you just jump in?
You just got to jump, man.
There you go.
You dip your toe just to feel it, and you just say, F it, let's go.
Yeah.
You
Let me
know?
ask you this then. Like, it's still on the topic of change. Was there a moment that you decided that, like, I got to go all in and change myself?
It was after Tim Grover spoke at Limitless.
Really? Wow.
That you were there with me. You were sitting next to me. That speech that he gave, and we got to meet Grover. That was yeah. You know, the people we met that night. I mean, between him and Andy, that was he almost topped that. That speech he gave was phenomenal. Right. And at that point, I knew I had to use the darkness as my ally, not as my enemy. I needed to work with the demons that I'm fighting to be the best that I can be, not hide them, work with them. I needed to use the darkness. So after that, I left that event and I said, let's fucking go. And I've only let off the gas as far as workouts and stuff go when I was down for surgery. Right. That was the only time. But I just, there's something, the way he worded that. And then, you know, they were all great. Most of them were all great during that thing. I mean, Keaton put on an amazing event, had some awesome speakers. I had the opportunity to go to the one tomorrow, but life doesn't always work out the way you want it to, you know. But he had some amazing speakers. We got to meet some amazing people there. Not only in the crowd, we got to meet some of the speakers, and it was phenomenal.
Right.
But at that point was when I just started the first format. I think it was August, and the Limitless was September, and it was let's fucking go. At that point, the way Grover spoke, it was mind changing for me.
Okay.
That was the moment.
What was it? Because because it sounds like it was mostly because you knew that you had demons. You knew that you had that darkness. And is it fair to say that you felt like before that you knew it was kind of holding you back and you just needed to hear somebody say that? Like,
ultimately, probably. Yeah. I never thought about it that way.
Right.
Even up to until you just said it, I'd never thought about it that way. You know, I'd always like, yeah, they're a driving force. I mean, ultimately, that's what it is. But think about darkness. Darkness is damn near everything. You know, it's just you have to use it to your advantage, and that's what I started being able to do. Especially 4 a.m. workouts. What am I doing? I'm going there in the fucking dark.
Yeah.
You know, the people that are there for a fucking reason. They're there to work out and get their shit done. They are not there to sit on their phones and take up equipment and be a lazy POS. They're there to get their shit done and get out. It's 4 in the freaking morning. Nobody wants to be there.
Mm-hmm. How important is it to, or how important was it to like have that self-reflection though? Like in that moment, like how important, like
it's been life-changing. Yeah. I mean, between that and trying new things, what gets me is I don't understand why. Okay, actually I do understand because people are lazy, but I don't understand why people don't try things. Whether it's a cold plunge or, you know, hitting the gym, whatever. I can't understand why they choose complacency over feeling better. I don't understand it. Like, it's hard, but do the fucking work. Like, show up, do the work. I'm not saying you got to go balls to walls like, you have over the years, but get out and start walking a little bit more. Like, enjoy the weather. You'll start seeing so many changes just from walking a little bit.
I think the problem is complacency, right? It goes back to the same thing we talked about with dating your wife.
Yeah.
People don't know what they want. Well, how can I say this?
They think they're happy.
Yeah. Essentially, you don't know what you want because you don't know anything outside of it, right? And so, and I can only say that because, I'd always kind of had these ups and downs in fitness and growth. But it wasn't until I wanted it. Like, I wanted to change. I wanted it. And, there's an author by the name of John C. Maxwell that talks about, I think he says that there's 4 seasons. And one of them is, it's usually you change. One of them is you're hurt enough that you need to change. And that's where I was. I was hurt enough that I needed to change.
And I would agree.
And I don't know if that's where you were.
No, I mean, that's 100%. I was so hurt, so broke down, so rock bottom per se, that I needed to change. I mean, I freaking almost killed myself. Like, yeah, I needed to change.
Right.
It was a no-brainer that change had to happen. But I because my mind is growing, I can't understand it.
Yeah. Exactly, because you're in that,
and I'm not.
You're in that growth zone now. You're outside. It's almost like
we're not gurus, guys.
No,
we're
no,
not saying anything is perfect, because But it's hard to understand why you don't want to get out and do something.
And you know what I would relate that to? A lot of, and not the guru guys that but when Andy says you can be successful too if you really apply it, if you work hard. And then we can look at it and be like, well, we're not there yet. But they have the foresight. They know that most people can do what they do. You just got to do it and work hard for it for a long time. The consistency is key, and longevity, and putting in consistent work ethic, right? Yeah, I would blame ignorance. I mean, in the fact that most people they just can't. It's like having blinders on. This is all you know, and this is okay. I'm okay with that. And I'm not giving them an excuse, because I know that a lot of people will probably be like, well, they'll come up with some excuse. And I'm not giving an excuse. Because even when I look back, I don't give myself excuses for the amount of years that I burned not doing anything with my life, physically or mentally or anything spiritually, building a bit, none of that. I don't give myself an excuse for that. But yeah, I agree. It's hard to see somebody and be like, damn.
Especially the ones you loved or you love.
Yeah. I know. I feel that. No, man, I think that was the basis of it, man. I think, I've told you this, I think you're an inspiration to people, you and your wife, the changes that you've done mentally, physically, same with your wife. That's the reason that and then you were talking with passion there, when you talked about your demons, and that's that pushed you to change and grow over. And I just, I think it's important for people to know that there is these challenges and change. And I think physically and mentally somebody might focus on the physical part. Doesn't mean you're mentally pushing yourself. You might lean into it, but I would know from experience, even the first, I used to be able to drop 20, 30 pounds easily, but I always went right back to gaining that weight. That's because the mindset isn't there. The mindset's not right. And the moment that you start working on both of those, and you and your wife did it, and I think it's a great, you have great expertise, and that's what we talk about, right? We're not gurus, but we preach on the things that we know that we've done or are doing. And I thought the change would be
that was a good one.
A great topic for you. So
I will say this. I feel like I can tell the difference between somebody who is there at the gym to look good versus somebody who is there to work on themselves. And that's the fuckers that put their weights away. I'm just gonna be real. In my opinion, if
Yeah, fuck those guys.
I mean, think about it. You're wanting to better, and you won't even put something back where it belongs.
Yeah.
How are you getting
Standard.
better if you won't put back where you belong?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a standard. Hold the line. It's the boundary you set for yourself. I go as crazy like Andy Frisella's gym. He talks about all the time. The weights are faced right. I go through and I put my shit back that way.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else does. But for me, when he said that, it hit. It stuck. And that's what I do. You know, the bathroom when I am, at least at work, I need to get better at home and stuff. But, you know, with disposable towels at work, I wipe the fucking sink out.
Right.
Wash my hands, I wipe the sink out. I make it look like it was just cleaned. You know, if there's something in the toilet, whether it was me or not, grab the brush and clean it. Because that's the standard I want to hold. Like, I need to pull that more into my house. See, guys, we're not perfect here. But I need to pull that more into my house. But for those aspects, I just, that's my standard I do every time. I clean, you know, if water drips on the floor, I clean the floor, clean the counter, clean the sink, throw it away. Right. You know, at the gym, I'm walking around picking up trash. At home, I'm walking around picking up trash. You know, we're starting 75 hard. One thing I want to do, I'm going to take a bag with me. I want to fill the damn bag with trash. Our streets are littered with trash.
Yeah,
why not?
Bullshit, yeah.
Make the change.
Yeah, you can't complain about it and then be part of the issue that's continually doing the same thing, right? Or walking past what you would deem as a piece of garbage. You know, you're like, you know, that's not my standard, even though it's the whole thing. It's like, well, I'm not the one that did it. Well, but you can be the one that fixes it. You could be the one that gets the solution done. I hate that shit. Like, oh, well, it wasn't me. That attitude will get us, this community, this country, nowhere. Like, that's just the reality.
Accountability, mother.
Yeah, we talked about that. So,
so even just the story today, for prime example, walking at the zoo, there's a plastic bag laying on the ground. So I look at my youngest. I said, "Hey, pick that up, would you please?" But I don't want. But Dad, it wasn't mine. I'm like, that's not the point, honey. The point is we're just gonna make this better than when we were here. Yep. And she did. She was a little, yeah. But she picked it up. She grabbed it. Okay, honey, the trash can's right there. You know, I even went the step farther. Make sure it goes in the blue one. That's the recycled one, hon. Okay, Dad. And she did it. Did anybody ask? Would anybody else have noticed? Hell, I don't know. There wasn't a lot of people at the zoo. But, you know, at the end of the day, I knew my daughter did something good. I knew we did something good. We picked up some trash.
And you're showing her that.
Yeah.
As she gets old, and then she'll pass it on to her kids. And, you know, That's the change. That's the small, it might seem like small incremental changes, but their magnitude is massive.
All right, last thing I want to say on this whole thing. I was listening to Ed Milet yesterday, just released a new episode out, and he was talking about what drives him every single day, what helps him stay healthy, which granted he's got money to do all the tests and everything, but he was telling a story how he went to a doctor, and it was how the doctor approached it. And he's like, oh yeah, we gotta, telling this story. I'll share the episode. I think it's worth listening to. I don't even think I finished it, and I still think it's worth listening to. But he talks about how all his decisions as far as staying healthy and stuff is because the doctor went a different way. Instead of just being like, well, you need to do this, 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 and this, and start eating healthy. Said, oh, you got kids? Yeah, I got my son. Oh, yeah, I got another kid. Yeah, I got my 2-year-old daughter. And he's like, do you want to see your daughter get married? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, if you don't make changes, you may not be the one walking your daughter down the aisle. It may be another man who is married to your wife walking your daughter down the aisle. And that to me was like, holy shit. Like, if anybody were to come explain something, especially having 2 beautiful little daughters, mm-hmm. which, I mean, my wife kind of did. I mean, I'm glad I'm still here talking to you guys, talking with you. Mm-hmm. You know, same thing. Your kids need you.
Mm-hmm.
They may act differently towards you, but at the end of the day, these two kids need you. Do you want to see them graduate? Do you want to walk them down the aisle? As hard as it's going to be to give them to another man, assuming they, kind of assume things now. Assuming that, I want to do that. I want to be that part of my daughter's life. So I have to make the changes to stay healthy, eat better, eat right, work out, make sure my mind is right, both mentally and spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned so much, and I've only done a grain of sand on a beach worth of it.
Right.
Between the sound bath and the somatic breath and the cold plunges. I mean, I've done barely any of it. But it's been quite changing, quite life-changing to sit and talk to these people that have been on these journeys. And I know your wife's on a huge spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And we're working on getting that way. But damn, it is life-changing.
I love that, man. That's so good. That's a mic drop right there.
I think this has been one of the better ones.
One of the better ones for sure. Good idea, man. I think this is a great change of pace, and another great episode, man. I appreciate everybody for showing up for us, and you for showing up for us, and man, I can't ask for anything better. So
no, I thank you for providing the space and allowing us to do this and having this amazing idea to start sharing our journey with the world. We're going to look back on some of these and probably laugh. But the ultimate thing is if you guys out there get anything from these, please share, like, comment, DM us even. Let us know. We love you guys. We love the support. We love the likes. I love scrolling through and seeing our stuff pop up and seeing the more and more likes on them. And it's fantastic. It's weird as hell to still hear myself talk and see myself pop up so regularly, but I freaking love it. And it's because of you guys. So thank you. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you too, man. And thanks to everybody else. And another great episode, man, at the round table, man.
Quick challenges. Date your wife if you have one, or spouse, whatever. Date them. And then start making some fucking changes, guys.
Love it. Good job, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you,
we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.